was one of the village chiefs, and he came. There was about a 400 people turnout, and he just thanked us for coming, the white people, the Mzungus, and Tucker for bringing the team and inviting the teams to come. They said that they had never had a turnout like this before with the soccer team or soccer in general, and they hope to continue to do it and share the love of Christ throughout the village. Here's a little bit more of a picture of just the soccer players and then the families around the soccer. If you can see in the back, people had already started to leave by the time we started talking, but the turnout was huge. So what can you do to help again? The vocational school is going to be starting up in 2020, and we want to get those boys sponsored and girls. It is $200 a year, an academic year, to sponsor them. They'll be 16 to, I put 18 years old, but they're probably going to be older. They'll learn the trade of their choice in the academic year, reading, writing, English, and math classes, along with the trade that they're learning. Because a lot of the orphan boys don't get an early education. That's part of the reason why we're getting this academics or the vocational school started, is so that we can get them an education and then also get them a job opportunity when they graduate from the vocational school. They'll have a place to live, which is on the dorms on the campus. Food while they're in school, most likely lunch and dinner, and probably breakfast as well. And then the uniforms, and then they'll have a 1 year on the job training and working for CSI to pay back their scholarship. So they'll eventually pay everything back and allow another student to come into the vocational school. Where are we going? Oh, then we traveled from Kampala to Mpigi, which doesn't look like very far, but there were so many potholes in traffic that it took us about 6 hours to get there. We had built the goat shelter right after Billy and Mary left, and then a whole month after, so the whole entire time that I was in Uganda, we were waiting and going to different farms and figuring out which goats are we going to buy. Alan was super picky about which goats that he wanted, and it wasn't going to be the right one until he chose the right one. And so the last day that I was in Uganda, we went to Mpigi and we picked out 6 dairy goats, 4 breeding and 2 bucks. So here's just the different goats. I picked out that one. And that one. And actually, the pregnant goat, the black and white one, was actually pregnant when we bought her. And last week on Saturday, I got a text, the baby's come, the baby's been born. And so because it was just kind of our thing, and Mary was the lead person, we decided to name the little baby Anderson. So what are some other ways that you guys can help other than child sponsorship? I know that there's some people who are completely led to sponsor a kid. There's our vocational school kids, but there's some people who are, I don't feel like sponsoring a kid. I feel like helping CSI, but I don't feel called to sponsoring a child. So Tucker and Irene do not take a salary. And they oftentimes go without food because they make sure that the teachers are paid before they are. You can talk to Mary Anderson about sponsoring another goat. I'm pretty sure it's about $100 to sponsor a goat. Am I right? Okay. You can send a monthly or a one-time donation to the actual CSI Foundation. You can sponsor a teacher and help them to continue to teach. Let them know that it's not just the little tiny salary that they're getting from Irene and Tucker, but it's also someone in the United States who wants them to continue to teach the Word of God to children. You can send money to help build the vocational school and dorm. It right now only has windows and a fence up. It's still getting the whole entire foundation and all of the walls built. Then you can sponsor my long-term mission, a venture through CSI and Baker City Christian Church. I do plan on, after high school and after Emma's senior year, raising some money. I do plan on moving back to Uganda and serving as their long-term missionary. And then you can go with a team to work on improving the roads in Kampala. No matter where you go, there's always a pothole left and right. So you are swerving here and there, trying to avoid them at all costs, because they're not just like little tiny things. They're like, the tires will get popped or they'll fall off. It's crazy. So if you are interested, there is a table right outside with sponsor kids and then the other sponsor opportunities that I have listed here. This is Kampala, so this is the main place that we were. And then right from the main Kampala capital city, we were actually staying in Sita. So Sita is where Maroon Bay School and the two churches are. This is the slum. Just kind of wood piles everywhere, and there's different piles everywhere, but I figured there might be some children here and I didn't want to get anything too graphic. These are some little chickadees that said Mzungu, Mzungu, and followed us all the way down the road and insisted I take their picture. So they all smiled and did their little dance. This little girl right here I would gladly just take home. This is the school. This is the Maroon Bay School in Chavosi. I didn't get a picture of the actual school that was picture quality because it didn't look good on here, and I knew that we'd have a black screen. So it's pretty big, and it's just a church building, probably the size of, not including the hallway down there, but from the hallway this way. And they have baby class all the way up through primary 5. This is downtown Kampala. Took a nice little trip down there, and it was actually Destiny's birthday 3 days before I left to go to Kenya. So we took her on a shopping trip, and we found her a cute little dress that she could wear for the last Sunday that we were there. As you can tell, there's many little shops, and this is what the inside of the shops look like. They're not organized in any way, and this is just one of the few shoe shops. But there's also clothes, purses, anything that you can think of that's an accessory or a piece of clothing. Then I traveled from Uganda to Kenya. So they're right across from each other. I went from Entebbe, which is right there next to Lake Victoria, and I flew all the way to Nairobi. It was only an hour and a half flight, and it was super easy, super quick. I got there the afternoon before the missions team that was here, when they were coming. They were on their last leg of their journey. So this is the Kenya trip. I was here from July 22nd to August 4th. This is in the slum, Pangani, which is pretty much the main base for Mohi. We took a trip to Turkana, so we went from Nairobi to Turkana. Took about an hour and 15 minutes, not very long, and it's right next to Lake Turkana. This is an average everyone hut. This is their house. They normally have 5 to 7 huts, depending on how big their family is. There's a kitchen hut, there's a cooking hut, there's a belongings hut, there's an adult hut, or like a parent's hut, and then all of the children, depending on how many children they have. This is one of the schools. Every school that we went to through Mohi gave us a performance, whether it be songs, poems, dances, plays. They just wanted to entertain us and just show us what they had learned and what they just wanted to present to us and just show us as a gift. This is Carolyn Curbs. At the school, they actually make their own clothes out of the corn or the bags, and they use them for the kids for the plays and the entertainment. This is Raphael. He has 6 children in the Turkana school. He is 69 years old. The average age span is 65. Am I right, Katie? 65 years old. So he's technically considered a very old man and very respected because he lived over 65. He's a broom maker, so that doesn't make very much of an income. but he can read and write, and he doesn't know very much English, if not any. But Keith, the missionary that was there, was able to communicate with him, and also the translators that were there to just tell him that we were so happy that we could be there, meet his family. He took us through all of his huts and showed us his family. He is an amazing man of God. This is his man chair and his staff. The man chair and staff is absolutely, positively forbidden for a woman to touch. If it is touched at any point in time, it has to be immediately burned. The only way that Raphael can hold his man chair and staff is the staff, of course, has to be held, but the man chair itself has to be held by the little ring at the bottom. You are not allowed to touch the stem of the chair. Wow. Sooner or later, people got word that the Mzungus were in town, and they came and saw us and greeted us. They are very, very camera shy. So this picture, as you can tell, no one was looking at me because no one wanted their picture taken. This woman, however, in Turkana and in Kenya, there's a specific word I don't remember, but it's kind of a best friend. So best friend to Africans means someone that you cannot say no to. You can have friends that you can say no to, but this specific person, nothing you do, nothing they ask for, it's always yes. So the missionary Kathy, her daughter has a best friend, and this is her daughter's best friend. So it was kind of cool to see all of them together, and got a picture of her and her baby. The beads around her neck, I'm so happy I didn't forget this, represent beauty, but the specific colors, as you can tell, the yellow means that she is married, so she is off limits, and she's not available. If they have white, that means that they are not married. But the rest of the colors means just that they are beautiful, and they are beautiful. Then when I went back to, I went to Madoya, so we flew back from Turkana to Nairobi, and then we went to Madoya. I got to see my aunt's sponsor children, and I actually got to meet all of their families while I was there and give them the gifts that my aunt had sent with me. So this is Laura, and she was such a sweetheart. She always had 1,000 questions to ask me, and she just always had the sweetest smile whenever she was there to ask a question. This is Elvis and his family. This is Michael. He was so sweet. And that's actually his sister. She is the same age that I am, and she's actually going into the same year of school that I am. Then later on in our trip, we were able to take 7th graders to the Nairobi National Zoo, and it was so much fun as they saw the lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, they were so happy to be there. They couldn't believe everything that they were seeing. From everyone wanted to see the lion, everyone wanted to see the leopard, and then when we got to the monkeys and the birds, they just couldn't believe it. One of the craziest things about being in the zoo was you could be from me to Rosie from a lion in the cage, and it was a little scary when the lions came right on up next to you and they started jumping on the cage, and it's like, stay back, children, stay back. Then we got to take the 8th graders to the elephant orphanage. This is super fun. There were a lot more of them than just these guys, but these guys hung around me the whole entire time, and we just became really good friends. The cool thing about the field trips is we got to just spend some one-on-one time with these guys. It wasn't just give them a present, say hello, say who you're representing as their sponsor, and then shoot them on back to class. This was kind of just an intimate time where we got to just, what is your name? What is your favorite food? What is your favorite subject in school? What do you hope to be? And just talk to every single one of them and really get an idea of who they are and how they love Jesus with all of their heart and how many Bible verses they have memorized. I mean, you could just say a verse and they'd be like, oh, okay, wow, they are so smart. The one who's actually pointing at me is the class valedictorian. I can't remember his name, but he spoke the best English there. I mean, it was like I was talking to one of you guys. He was so smart. Do you remember, Katie, his name?
Did it start with a B?
I can't remember. So at the end of our trip, we got a nice little goodbye. We got little gifts with a little bag of coffee and a coffee mug. We got to dance and sing with the kids before we left and shake our feathers with them, and then they headed back to class and we headed for the hotel. That is kind of the end of my presentation, but I really wanted to share with you the top 5 things that God did in my heart while I was there. He broke a few chains in my life off of me forever. Feeling unloved, unwanted, and abandoned. Not having a very healthy lifestyle. Fear, insecurity, and the feeling of being insignificant. And the biggest one was the spirit of control. I always felt like I needed to be in control of my life, because if I didn't have control, something bad was going to happen. Something bad was just going to take over me, and I wouldn't be able to handle it, and then I wouldn't be able to give it to God, and then I just go into that spiral and go into depression. And so I just thank God for doing that in my life, and I give all of the glory to God for breaking those chains off, because I wouldn't be able to do that myself. He showed me what hospitality really looked like. It's not just you invite someone into your house and you have tea and have coffee and okay, so long, farewell. It was, how are you doing really? How is your father and your mother and your grandma and your uncle and your aunt? And really just establishing that relationship within the community and within the church. It was huge for me because I am guilty of not being very hospitable. I feel like I have my friends, and then there's some people that I'm like, I can kind of hang out with them, I guess, and show them a little bit of love, and then there's the people here. But God calls us to love everybody and be friends with everybody and show everybody hospitality. And I wasn't doing a very good job of that, but I'm working on it now, and he's just showed me how important hospitality is. He also showed me that it is okay to love everyone, because that's what Jesus did. It's not just the friends that you have. It's not just the pastors or the adults in your life. It's the poor person over here sitting on the side of the road in front of McDonald's. Even if it's just saying God bless you and giving them a cheeseburger, it's just showing them love. If it's the kid in the high school who sits at lunch by himself, it's just sitting next to him and asking him how his week was, how his home life is, what can you do to pray for them? That was a huge one for me, because I'm guilty of not showing everybody love. If I don't want to be around someone, most of the time I'm really good at telling them by my body language or by my words that I don't really want to be around them. He broke my heart for the people and their lives in Uganda. He just broke it, not in a way that is bad, but is good. He gave me a heart for them that I would never have unless I would have experienced and saw the things that I saw. Their lives are hard and tough, and something that if I had to go through that every single day, I don't really know if I would have a faith in God, but they do, and they perspire through everything, and they still love God, and God is the only thing in their life, and that's what keeps them going, and that's what makes them happy. And I should probably learn a thing or two from them on just having God is the only thing that you really need. And God also made a way for me to serve as a long-term missionary down there. When I went down, so many people were asking me, what are you going to do after high school? Are you going to go to college? Are you going to go to nursing school? What are you going to do? And I thought to myself, there's all of those options, but I really, truly don't know what I want to do. And I just asked the Lord, show me what you want me to be. Show me where you want me to serve, and show me and let me be the vessel to the people. And while I was there, the very last day, Tucker and Irene pulled me aside and said, Dallas, we love your heart. We love your heart for missions. We love you as a family member, and we trust you with everything that we have. Would you please be our long-term missionary after you graduate high school? And I said, yes. So I will be going back. I do need to raise some funds first before I make the big move. My plan is probably 2021. They asked me to run the vocational school when I go down there, and also start churches and schools in other suburbs in Uganda. what's next? Finishing high school and getting my associate's degree. I'm in the early college program right now with the lovely Stephanie, and she is coaching me through that and getting the best possible plan for me to graduate. And I'll have to do some schooling afterwards to get my associate's degree, but it won't take me a super long time like it takes most college students. I'm working on saving money so that I can go back and be able to live for quite a while. And then, going back as the long-term missionary. Awesome. Thank you so much for listening and just experiencing what I experienced in Uganda and Kenya, and just seeing what God's doing in Uganda and Kenya through not only the missionaries there, but just sending me and experiencing that as well. So thank you guys so much. Do you guys have any questions about anything?